Hi everybody, another episode in the sliding gate build. After 3 weeks and 4 trips back to the place I bought the sheeting from, we finally have it sorted. Still a couple of mistakes on their behalf, but I'm going to sort them, as I always end up doing anyway with everything. So I'm just setting up the cladding at the moment. Now, one thing I didn't realise was frame square. Sheets are cut at 1900, so they should technically fit flush with the top. But because the concrete is out and the track slopes down, I've got a gap under there, but I have to be careful when I get here, because it changes level. So as we get closer to here, you'll notice the back here starts to get tighter. I've got to clear these fasteners too. So I think it's only going to affect the first 2 sheets. That pretty much freewheels all the way down to there. It's getting caught on this one, but once there's a rivet put in the frame, it should clear. So there we go, that clears. Once I hold it flat against there, it clears. So I think the first 2 sheets are going to be affected. So anything that's this side of the bend should just bolt straight up or screw straight in. But on this first sheet here, I've noticed that we're going to be a little bit high in order to clear the fall in the concrete. So I'm going to have to trim that up. I've got some trims here that I bought for it. So I've got two side trims here, and I've got a 3.9 metre long one to go along the top, just to finish it all off nicely. So cutting that off won't be a big deal. Another thing I did, and I should have filmed it before I dismantled it, is I fitted the lock today. I ran into a little problem here in the centre with adjustability, so I had to sort of widen that a little bit. But it all works. It's this has all got to be painted. This post, this has got to be done in the colour Gully, which is the same colour as these sheets. So all that will match, and I'm going to leave the frame in Gal. I've bought another can of paint. There's some spots that obviously didn't get enough paint when I painted it, and it's starting to sort of just get a little bit of surface rust here. But I think also some of this could be from me drilling this post and all the metal fragments dropping down, because as you can see down here, I got there's all rust from what I've drilled out. So but I'll go over everything and make sure that it's all sealed up properly. And yeah, we'll just leave that a Gal colour on the back, which goes pretty good with the grey. I don't want to have to paint the whole frame. It was never my intention to paint this. That's why I use Duragal. So yeah, because you paint that, then you've got to paint the track, and it goes on and on. So we're just going to leave it at that. The news on the deck. Okay, the shade sail is holding up very well. I've got it tensioned extremely well at the moment. We got no pooling of water in the shade sail, and yeah, it runs off on this corner. straight off onto the garden, which is fantastic. We haven't done any more with the staining of the deck, but we do now have all that sorted out. As you can see, my Merbau has just about bled all the tannin out. I'm just going to give it a few more weeks, simply because it's too cold to paint the deck now, and yeah, just do it when the weather gets better. I'm going to keep the side in that natural colour, so I will wash it down and get it right. I'll remove these two bottom boards here, and I'll sand them back until they come up like these new ones. And unfortunately, what I'm going to do here on the sides is I'm going to take these panels out and I'm going to sand them back to, see if I can sand them back and get them back to natural as well. And anything that's natural is just going to be cleared, and it'll just be the actual deck surface that's going to be painted. You can see I got the feature wall up there, which I think I covered in a previous video. I still haven't worked out what I want to put on that yet. Still haven't fastened it down properly. I need some longer screws for along the bottom. I'm just using some roofing screws at the moment, but by the time it goes through that 20mm tube, through the 19mm board, and then into the frame, it's only just the tip of the screw that's going into the metal frame, to the galvanized frame. So I need to get something longer, or I'll need to get bolts and actually drill through the bottom of the 50mm tube, or 40mm tube I think it is, and go with something that's about 100mm. But for the moment it's standing, it hasn't moved. It's screwed well into that post there, so that's good. And as I said, there is some screws along the bottom there, and they're just grabbing, but not enough. The gate's been bolted up, so I put a bolt in here. But I need to space this one out. I need to put a little spacer block in behind it, and I've still got to fix this this gate post to the fence. That's got to go back a little bit just to open up the gap. As you can see, it's loose, so the gap closes, so we've got to open that up, and then by the time I put the spacer block in, it'll bring it out level with this bar, and it'll basically, it'll sit on the spacer, which will be like it sitting on the bar. We've got a pretty good gap there from top to bottom. Nothing that a sheet adjustment won't sort of fix. So it's all coming together there. What else? Oh, I'm going to get some. As I said, I'm going to get some of the gully paint to paint that post there. But I'm also going to do the bottom of this as well. That's just done in the Bushman's Grey or Bushlands Grey, something like that. Can't think what the name of it is. Bushlands Grey, I think it is. So that one I need to do, and then all the downpipes on the house will match. Those two I can pretty much leave as is, because they're sort of coming up out of the deck, so they won't look odd. That one there can stay as well. So it's basically only the bottom of this. It's the bottom of this one, because all my other connections are pretty much below the ground. They're all in garden beds, so they're not seen, but that one is seen. I got some stuff sorted out with Cabots. So this was our original stain that turned out to be the wrong colour. So they've supplied me with what they call decking and exterior paint. It's not an oil, it's not a stain, it's a paint. We actually chose a colour called Monument. which I think will suit the deck better. And we're going to trial it first before we go rolling this on and then have more issues with colour. So we've got the stain or paint sorted. We just need to get the weather now to do it. So everything's sitting there waiting to go when the time is right. But the great thing is I've got water runoff on that shade sail, which was something I tried to achieve for a long time, ever since I extended that post on the blind side of the house and was able to pull it up higher and tension it. It's really made a heap of difference. So I'm very happy. It's still got some ripples in it, but I'm hoping over summer with the warmer weather it's going to shrink it a little bit. The ripples aren't enough for them to hold water. There's no water getting held on that shade sail at the moment. These bolts here, now when I went to buy these, I asked the guys if they kept stainless steel and they said no. Or they probably meant to say, yes we do, but we don't have any in stock. So I just bought black ones and they're starting to rust. Now this corner gets a lot of water off the shade sail, so these two are starting to really rust. So I'm going to replace all these with stainless steel bolts all the way along, so we won't have any rusting issues again. Hi everybody, it's another day. Doing a bit more work on the sliding gate. So I've got all the sheets on now. That's the back of it. All the locks installed. It looks quite good actually from the front. I'll give you a look at it later, but what we're working on now is the post. The problem I had was, because I'm using a sliding door lock, normally the catch would be rebaited into the frame, and then your door would fit up flush against your frame. But because we're not using a door frame and we can't rebate the lock, there's a gap between the actual gate and the post, which I want to try and eliminate. So what I'm going to do is I've marked the post where the catch is. I'm actually going to cut this out down here and basically flip the piece over and create a recess, and then put this into the recess, and then the gate will close up flush against the post, where at the moment the width of this is how much gap we get in between the post and the actual gate. So that will be gone. I'll paint this in here rather than paint it in place. So that all should work good. Another thing I've had to do is, as you know, I used anchor bolts. Now these two back anchor bolts still screw into the concrete really well. For some reason this front one became loose and won't no longer grip, but I don't want to push that out to 12 mil. I don't want to go bigger. So what I've done is I've just gone and bought a Dynabolt, because these things will spread inside the concrete. So that'll be alright. I'll put that in, and I've gone a bit longer so that I can get a lot of bite. I think that's about 75 millimeters. It's a shame I've had to use one of these. I would have liked to have stuck with the anchor bolts, but you know, it might have just been a weak piece of concrete there. Might have had some air bubbles or something in the concrete, and the anchor bolt just didn't want to bite. So yeah, we're gonna have to go with the old-fashioned Dynabolt there. And you know what, if that doesn't work, I'll rip that out and then I'll have to go 12 mil, and then hope that 12 mil anchor bolt bites. So it's a little bit hit and miss. I tried filling it up with concrete, or cement, and re-drilling it, but the problem with that is it crumbles because it wasn't originally poured as a mass. It's just an add-on, so it tends to sort of chip away, and it doesn't help. So, but yeah, hopefully we've got a couple of ways to fix that. And you know what, if worst comes to worst, I will just extend this plate out another 20mm, weld up the holes here. I could weld this hole up, leave this hole in there, and drill another hole in the extension, and drill a new hole into the concrete, and end up using a Dynabolt. So there's always ways around fixing it. It's just time. So I'm actually going to get a piece of rubber. I've got some here, and I've got some other sheets somewhere. This stuff here, it's out of socket sets and toolbox lining. I used to get piles of this from work when I used to work for Stanley Sig-Chrome. So all I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the yellow, but I've got some more black kicking around somewhere. I just use these as soft jaws in my vices. I'm just going to glue a piece in on each side, just so you don't get no banging when you close it. So I'm going to make a start on this. I'll try and take you through it step by step if I remember. You know I'm bad at this sort of stuff. I usually film it after I've done it, but yeah, we'll make a start on it, and I'll try and show you what I'm trying to do. If I knew how to video edit better and I could like speed up the video, I would, but I don't know how to do that. So you got to see it in real time, and it just takes ages. It takes a long time just to get through a process sometimes. So alright, anyway, let's make a start. Battery. Nearly there. Sorry guys. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to pause the video here for a second, clean the edges up, and we'll move on to the next phase. Okay, that's what we're going to end up with, guys, once I've welded the plate in and everything. So you get your catch sitting nice and flush, so the gate will go hard up against the post. So all I've done is reversed it. There's going to be some holes left here and at the top, but they're not going to be a major drama. I've got a bit of gal plate down there, and I can just box it in. No good boxing the top in because water doesn't run uphill. So yeah, I'm going to start preparing it for welding and try and get it all back together. Okay guys, I got that just tacked in. I just realised my gas pressure wasn't set properly. I just got a replacement bottle a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't really done any welding at all, and I must have bumped the regulator. That's why it's a little bit pitted here on the welds. But I've just gone through my my manual and double checked everything, make sure my settings were right, and realised the gas pressure wasn't between 8 to 15 litres per minute. So I've adjusted that, so I'm hoping now that it should weld quite well. But that's basically what I'm trying to achieve. So that will sit in there. It will sit flush, but I've got these rivets on the back, as you can see. I probably won't need those now because I won't need this backing plate that I made up. So I can eliminate that, and then that will drop that flush with the outside of the post. So I can actually grind them off and pull the heads out on the other side, remove these little caps here, which I can't do because I don't have any fingernails. But you get the drift. So I'm gonna keep going with this and finish this off. Okay guys, I got that welded in. So yeah, I've got to take, as I said, I've got to take the backing plate off, but that'll go in there nicely, and yeah, it should be right to put back together, and we should have a flush fitting gate. That was a mouthful. So yeah, I'll keep going and show you where we get to.